reporting on humanitarian crises worldwide. Welcome to InfoBurst, your premier destination for comprehensive analysis on global events and crucial issues. Before we delve into our topic, we must note a disclaimer. This video is designed to deliver accurate, unbiased information based on data available up until January 2024. For the most recent updates, please consult reputable news sources. In today's episode, we confront a deeply troubling subject: the state of humanitarian crises worldwide in 2024. This year, the international community is facing unparalleled challenges as an assortment of humanitarian crises deepens, fueled by ongoing conflicts, the escalating climate crisis, and persistent economic disparities. Our goal is to explore the vast scale of these crises and the collective efforts underway to address them. The global landscape of humanitarian need is daunting. Conflicts, some persisting and others emerging, continue to devastate communities, displace millions, and escalate the demand for urgent aid. Climate change exacerbates these conditions, triggering natural disasters like floods and droughts that further displace populations and strain resources. Economic inequalities compound these vulnerabilities, leaving the most marginalized communities without access to essential services and protections. Amid these challenges, humanitarian organizations and international bodies are striving to respond. Funding shortfalls, however, significantly hinder these efforts. Despite the growing needs, humanitarian funding has seen a decline, creating a dire gap between the assistance required and the support that can be provided. In 2024, nearly 300 million people are in need of humanitarian aid and protection, a stark reminder of the scale of global suffering. Efforts to address these crises must be multifaceted, involving increased funding, international cooperation, and a commitment to respecting and protecting human rights. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, but with collective action and sustained attention to these issues, there is hope for progress. Stay tuned to InfoBurst as we continue to bring you detailed reports and analyses on the world's most pressing issues. Together, we can stay informed and contribute to meaningful change in the face of global humanitarian crises. Global humanitarian crises. A deep dive into conflicts, displacements, and aid shortfalls. Conflict zones and disaster-affected areas. In 2022, the Conflict Barometer highlighted a concerning trend with a total of 363 conflicts observed worldwide, signifying a marked increase in violence that poses a significant risk to civilians and humanitarian workers. This escalation in conflict intensity underscores the growing complexity of global geopolitical tensions and their devastating impact on societies. Sub-Saharan Africa, in particular, has been identified as a critical hotspot, experiencing the deadliest year since 1984. The region's enduring conflicts, often rooted in deep-seated political, ethnic, and economic issues, have resulted in significant human suffering and displacement. The plight of humanitarian workers. On the ground, humanitarian workers face these daunting challenges head-on. Operating in some of the most volatile environments on the planet, these brave individuals and organizations, such as Solidarités International, strive to deliver essential aid and services to those in dire need. Their efforts, however, are increasingly hampered by the escalating violence, which not only endangers their lives, but also complicates the logistics of aid delivery. The dedication of these workers is a testament to the humanitarian spirit, highlighting the critical role of international solidarity and support in addressing global crises. Staggering displacement and funding shortfalls. The humanitarian landscape is further complicated by the staggering scale of displacement. Over 110 million people have been forcibly uprooted by conflict, with Sudan experiencing one of the largest internal displacement crises globally. This mass movement of populations places immense strain on resources, infrastructure, and host communities, exacerbating existing vulnerabilities and creating new challenges for humanitarian assistance. Compounding these issues is a significant drop in humanitarian funding. With a shortfall of almost $37 billion against the requirements, the gap between the needs of the displaced and the resources available to assist them is alarmingly wide. This funding crisis severely limits the capacity of aid organizations to respond effectively to the myriad needs arising from conflicts and disasters, from providing food and clean water to ensuring access to shelter and healthcare. Humanitarian aid in action. Despite these challenges, humanitarian aid efforts continue with unwavering commitment. Organizations like Solidarités International are at the forefront of responding to crises, often in the world's most inaccessible and dangerous regions. Their work encompasses a range of critical interventions, including food distribution, water supply efforts, and the establishment of sanitation facilities, aiming to alleviate the immediate suffering of affected populations and support their recovery and resilience in the face of adversity. However, the widening gap between the needs of crisis-affected communities and the available resources highlights the urgent need for increased humanitarian funding and support. The international community must come together to address this disparity, ensuring that aid organizations have the necessary resources to carry out their life-saving work. The climate crisis. A catalyst for global humanitarian challenges. Understanding the climate crisis and its impacts. The climate crisis has emerged as a formidable multiplier of threats, significantly exacerbating the challenges of food insecurity, displacement, and public health risks across the globe. The phenomenon of El Niño in 2023 serves as a prime example, amplifying the adverse effects of climate change and affecting millions worldwide. This complex interplay between climate phenomena and environmental degradation has led to an increase in extreme weather events, from devastating hurricanes and floods to prolonged droughts and wildfires, pushing vulnerable populations further into the margins of survival. The intersection of climate science and economics. Experts from the fields of climate science and economics have noted with concern the intricate relationship between extreme weather events and economic pressures. These elements are now closely intertwined, with the former acting as a catalyst for deepening economic vulnerabilities. The resultant scenario is a vicious cycle where climate-induced disasters not only inflict immediate harm, but also undermine long-term economic stability, thereby exacerbating the vulnerability of millions to food scarcity, loss of livelihood, and displacement. Navigating the road ahead. Solutions and calls to action. Tackling the multifaceted challenges posed by the climate crisis demands a comprehensive and multi-pronged strategy. Central to this approach is the need to scale up funding dedicated to climate resilience and adaptation measures. Equally important is the adherence to international humanitarian law, ensuring that the rights and needs of the most vulnerable are prioritized in the face of escalating climate risks. The path forward is undoubtedly complex, necessitating urgent and concerted efforts from global leaders, policymakers, and the international community at large to mitigate the impacts of these crises effectively. Empowering viewers. The role of global citizens in humanitarian efforts. The power of informed and engaged citizens in shaping the trajectory of humanitarian response efforts cannot be overstated. By staying informed about the realities of the climate crisis and its cascading effects on global humanitarian needs, individuals can play a pivotal role. Supporting reputable humanitarian organizations through donations, advocacy, and volunteerism can significantly amplify the collective effort to address and alleviate human suffering. Each contribution, no matter the size, serves as a vital building block in the construction of a more resilient and compassionate global community. A call to collective action. As we continue to navigate the complexities of the climate crisis and its implications for global humanitarian needs, the importance of collective action becomes ever more apparent. It is through unity, collaboration, and shared commitment to humanitarian principles that we can hope to address the monumental challenges before us. InfoBurst remains dedicated to providing our audience with in-depth analysis and insightful commentary on these pressing global issues. We encourage our viewers to engage with the content, support humanitarian efforts, and become active participants in the global dialogue on climate change and humanitarian response. Together, we have the power to make a difference, to burst the bubble of misinformation, and to shed light on the world's most pressing issues. Thank you for joining us on InfoBurst. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth analysis on global issues. Let's stand united in our efforts to understand, address, and overcome the challenges posed by the climate crisis and humanitarian needs worldwide.